So the next thing I want to do is replace the face of this clock with a clock that actually, has time on it. So if we go to clock and glass, I want to use this face. There's a few things we're going to have to do to fix this up though, because you can see here we've got a reflection in the glass that's making this part of the clock lighter, and that's not going to work in our composite. So first, let's go ahead and select just the face of the watch. So I'm going to go into the marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, and again I'm going to hold down Option to select from the center, get it basically to where I want it, then right mouse click and go transform selection, adjust that so that it's selecting the front of the face. That's quite good right there. And then I'm going to simply do Command C, and then in here do Command V. Okay, so now we have it in here. Now I'm going to try to mitigate some of this light reflection here. To do that, I'm going to go back on the pen tool and simply make a selection of the highlight. Good. Now I'm going to go make selection, and then I'm going to add a curves layer and group it to my clock face. And to group two layers, go between them, hold down Option or Alt on a PC, and click between the two layers. So by doing that, this layer only affects the layer it's grouped to below it. So now what I can do is take down the curve here, and I want to try to match this part of the image with that part of the image. Challenge here. So that looks pretty good, but you can see it has this kind of reddish cast compared to the rest of the image. Now if I click on this little hand here, it allows me to select a specific portion of the histogram. So for example, here there's more red than over here. So I want to select this area here and just take down the red just a tiny bit like that. Let's go back onto RGB, and I want to take up the highlight just a bit and the dark just a bit down. And let's go to blue. Blue also affects yellow. And let's raise that up just a bit. You can see that looks a lot better. Let's see if we can also adjust right here just a bit. Alright, so that looks pretty good. And there you can see a before and after. On some parts of the image it's affecting too much, like here and here. And because this is with a mask, we can simply go on our brush tool, B, just paint that portion of the mask out. I want a more feathered brush, so let's select that brush. Let's do that, and this part here. There you go, so that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these and merge them. And the shortcut for that is Command E. You'll see it here, merge layers, Command E, and that'll merge the two layers. So now it's just one layer. And the reason I want it as one layer is I'm going to use the healing brush and just get rid of this strong line here. not doing the greatest of jobs, but it's making it less obvious. Okay, so that's better. That's actually going to work for our purposes. Last thing I want to do is let's just get rid of this word mark here. We don't really want that in our final image. So I'm going to go to the clone stamp tool. Let's go to our clone stamp properties. Just zero this back out. And let's just pick a spot here. I'm using the back bracket to make my brush smaller. And we're just going to go ahead and clone this out. So I'm holding Option to select a source and then painting over the letters. Good. And let's get rid of the Made in Germany. All right, there you go. That looks quite good. And let's go ahead and do Command T to make this smaller. And I want to basically just put it so that it looks like the face of this watch here. And also, I want this to be straight up and down. You can see right now that it's tilted counterclockwise. So let's go ahead and add a guide here. To do that, I'm going to do Command R, Control R on a PC, and just drag out from the ruler a new guide. And I'm going to put the guide, it wants to snap to the center, so let's zoom in. There you go. All right, now what I'm going to do is Command T, and I'm going to change my anchor point to be right there, because I know I've got my guide right there in the center. I can go to the bottom here and just drag that point there to also be centered. And it was less off than I thought. There you go. All right, then lastly, I want the color of this to match up better with this. So let's go ahead and add a curves layer. Actually, let's do a color balance, group that, and let's add red. And let's add yellow. And let's go to the shadows and also add red, and yellow. Let's go to the highlights and add yellow and red. And that's a lot better there. Okay, so that matches up pretty well. Now let's take all these and make a new smart object. And let's call that clock one as well. Okay, so we have our first clock done.